want to talk you through how tempo is likely the variable that you're not using to improve your weight training. And this is a really, really important part if you want to progress your weight training beyond simply a 6-week block, or you want to know what's actually going on to make a smart progression of weight training because you've always outsourced this in the past. In today's training, I want to walk you through how most people only use two simple variables, being how much weight I use and how many sets I do, right? Total volume of workouts and total load. I want to look at the other four variables that have massively made a difference in how I program these workouts for myself and hundreds of clients at any one time to have this awareness of making it as effective as possible. If you want to make sure that your workouts don't bleed into an hour and a half, 2 hours plus, and you're wondering why they're not effective, or you've only got 20-30 minutes and you really want to make the most of that time, this is where we're going to start. Most of our clients don't work out beyond 35-40 minutes, and they make the most out of these workouts by understanding these variables. So the big one we're going to go through, tempo, is going to allow us to really highlight how we can look at this a lot, but I want to first highlight those first 6 variables. So like I mentioned before, there's 2 that most people use: weight, how much weight I'm lifting, and 2, volume, how many sets I do, or total volume of exercise. The other 4 that I want to address is 1, we're going to look at frequency. How many times are we training that muscle throughout the week? Do we train legs once a week or twice a week? How many times do we train that muscle consecutively over a set time, usually a week? The second one is going to be lactic acid accumulation. So we're looking and addressing how much burn we can really create in that muscle, and that increase of lactate in the muscle is going to have a really good release on a growth hormone and a lot of those fat burning properties if we're going into more of metabolic phase. So that can be fun and also a little bit sore. The next one that we want to really address is density, right? Which is a one that is always missed, is how long are we resting between sets? If we're always doing 2 minutes between sets, moving that down to 90 or 60 seconds can make a drastic difference in how much your body has to recover between sets, and potentially an entirely different response, meaning it's less of a strength-based workout, and potentially we move more into a metabolically demanding workout, i.e. a little bit less strength, a little bit more fat burning focused. And then the last one, and the one that most people miss, is tension. The ability to place tension on a muscle for a consecutive or a extended period of time without rest. And this is where most people in the gym, when you look around, they pause at the top of a set. And unless you're a powerlifter and you're looking to just focus on how much weight you're lifting, it's probably going to be helpful for you to keep that tension on the muscle for a period of time and know how long that is, i.e. 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 60 seconds, etc. Because there's a lot of people doing 10 reps really quickly and it's done in about 12 seconds, right? Outside of your strength gains, you're going to be leaving a lot of your results on the table if you care for any level of body composition, i.e. dropping body fat or building muscle. So I really hone into this tension piece that becomes a platform to really start looking at utilizing all 6 of these variables properly. And the best way to address tension is through understanding tempo. And I don't see a workout as being complete without attaching a tempo. What I mean by this is the tempo is the speed to which you do the rep. All right, so if I've got 10 reps, well, that means nothing to me. But if I do 10 reps at a 3-0-1-0 tempo, then I know exactly what I'm looking for, right? Say I'm doing a chest press, that's going to be 3 seconds down, 1, 2, 3, 1 second up. So it's 4 seconds total time under tension times 10 reps, which means I'm doing 40 seconds of tension in that exercise. And that's something I can now manipulate. I can start to build this out over a 12 or 16 week training phase with maybe 4 times 4 week blocks where I have the exact same exercises, but I'm looking at adjusting tempo. So let's break this down so we can really give you an awareness of how powerful this can really be. Because there's 4 numbers that I mentioned, 3, and then there's a 0, and then there's a 1, and then there's another 0. So really bringing this awareness to what those numbers mean and in what order should I start to look at them. There's 3 key things that we're likely trying to address here, and we need to first understand our strength curve, which is we've got that general strength aspect where we're stronger in the middle of most movements. Think your leg press, your bench press, those sorts of things. And as we get to the extremes in our fully lengthened and fully shortened positions, that's where we're weaker. That's where we have a bigger opportunity to really start to strengthen the overall strength curve, make sure that we're more mobile, i.e. strength plus flexibility. There's no point being flexible if you don't have strength. Otherwise, we get a lot more injury in that range. So bringing awareness to that tempo again, we're looking at lengthening the muscle, right? What speed to which we do it. That's also where a lot of the muscle damage is going to occur. So if we just speed that down, we're missing a lot of the results. And then there's a hold at both ends, right? Which is, are we going to hold the stretch? Are we going to shorten the muscle up top and hold that squeeze? Now, there's a lot more that we can really address there, but I think there's 3 key things I really want to look at with tempo where no matter who you are, this is going to help. 1 is don't bounce. If you're bouncing out of a movement like a squat or a bench press, what you're doing is just creating that elastic tension of tendons. You're not loading the muscle, right? When you're coming down and you're bouncing, what has to decelerate that that weight? If it's not the muscle, it's joints, tendons, ligaments, everything else that can go pop. So if you're not controlling that motion, you're not holding, contracting, then coming back out of the motion, you drastically increase your risk of injury because you're not controlling the weight. For the first one is play around with trying a 1 second pause at the bottom of all of your reps for 4 weeks. Really great way to bring an awareness of how you're moving. The second one is slow down the eccentric, as we mentioned, right? So instead of not thinking about it, try a 3 second eccentric, right? How fast you lower the motion. Then move to a 4 and then maybe even try a 5. It will feel really slow, but it's a stronger position of that rep. And then the last one is holding a squeeze in a particular range. Now, this can work in more cable or machine movements. It doesn't work in as many dumbbells. And what I mean by this is when we break down the strength curve, where is that muscle fully short? If I'm doing a dumbbell press and I come up to the top, then I'm simply just extending my arms in front of me and I can hold that all day. I need to have tension on that. I need something pulling me out in that particular position, or something like a leg extension where I'm holding at the top, really holding that squeeze. So looking at the 3010, at the moment, all I'm emphasizing is slowing down the eccentric. But if I made that a 3110, then that would be a 3 down, 1 second hold at the bottom, 1 second up, right? An alternative of this might be a 3011, which would be 3 seconds down, no pause, and then I hold for a squeeze at the top, all right? So without going into the full breakdown of actually breaking down this for every exercise, simply try those 3 things in your next workout and start to appreciate how much the speed to which you do the rep can drastically change the exercise itself. Being able to slow down the motion, being able to pause in particular positions, and being able to contract out of that position using the muscle rather than just focusing on the dumbbell. If you just understand that, focus on the muscle, not the weight, you'll be ahead of 99% of people in the gym because they're still thinking about what the dumbbell's doing. If this is something we go into really, really deeply into a lot of our resistance training workouts for all of our clients, because just looking at weight and volume, as I mentioned, is leaving so much on the table. And when you start to appreciate these variables, you start to get a lot more awareness of how much more you can really do with your weight training, how you can make it a lot more effective. And like all of our clients, you get a lot more done in 20 minutes than most people are in an hour. So if you want access to more like this, you really want to go deeper into understanding the variables of exercise, what these tempos would look like with different exercises, then either comment activations below, or if you're watching this YouTube podcast, you'll see a link to our activations below this and go check that out. But as an initial starting point, I think simply having an awareness of what tempo might be, where you can apply this to your current workouts, and then of course, if you download that link or go to that link, you'll be able to build into what that progression looks like with more and more exercises really visually in front of you. So I hope that helps. That's a start to tempo. Go level up your training.